Hello and welcome to the first new moon of the 2024 calendar year. This new moon is occurring in Capricorn, which some of you may know is Capricorn is the moon's detriment. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, what detriment means, and how we can still use this moon for any intentional work that we would like to do over this week. So the first thing I'm going to do is share my screen so that we can watch and follow along with the chart together here in Luna. So here we have the date of this new moon, which is 1/11 at 6:57 a.m. in Washington, D.C. time. So that's Eastern time. You can adjust this to your time zone and the moon will be full around that same moment. So the moon and the sun are meeting in the sky at 6:57 a.m. Eastern time, which means adjust it how many hours forward or backwards that your time difference is from Eastern, and you'll probably catch that moment. If you have a chart program like Luna, first of all, Luna, you can just go to cycles and it will give you the new moons and full moons, actually the new moons of the whole year. And then you get to go over here to sort of navigate the next phases in the cycle before the next new moon. What we're looking for is on any chart or any program that you're using that the moon and the sun be at 20 degrees and 44 at the same point there. That way, you know, you've got this new moon. So what we're looking at here is a new moon again in Capricorn. Capricorn is the sign of the moon's detriment. So we do want to take that into consideration first and foremost when we're judging the condition of the moon. But the thing is, every year we're going to have a new moon in Capricorn during Capricorn season, because when the new moon happens, when the sun is in Capricorn, it's going to be a Capricorn new moon. So you can actually kind of sense the pattern that's happening here. It's always going to be when the sun is in Capricorn, the new moon will be in Capricorn. And so it is for all the suns moving around, which is why we have one of each type of new moon each year. And then corresponding to that, one of each type of full moon each year. So right now we're looking at the new moon in Capricorn. And it is worth noting that while this is the first new moon of the 2024 calendar year, it is not necessarily the one we would look at for the condition of the year in mundane astrology and making a judgment on the condition of the astrological year. We will actually get to talk about that in March when the sun ingresses into Aries, and we use the Aries ingress as the new year in astrology according to our ancient texts. So this is really fun for the new calendar year. It's something to look at. It's a new moon, which is always great. We're coming into this period of the moon renewing herself and then gaining, increasing in light again, waxing, which is always good for increase of energy and increase of work. You know, when you're doing a talisman or any intentional folk magic work, you like using an increasing moon or a waxing moon because the energy of that will also be gaining in light or in influence or in ability. So thinking about that, we're thinking about Capricorn. Now we know the moon doesn't have the resources that she would like to have in Capricorn because it is opposite of her domicile in Cancer. The moon has everything she needs to feel at home in Cancer. And the opposite of that, of course, is feeling like I didn't even pack my lunch when I went to this place I don't know and I'm not familiar with. And I really don't know anybody that knows the way around here. So I'm a little bit on my own without resources. That's the idea of detriment. So looking at this, the moon is detriment, but also totally black, right? It's a new moon. She doesn't have any light. So it is probably one of her least energetic parts that she has in the year, which means this is a great time for rest. And the way I've been really coining this moon is saying active recovery, because not too far away, we have Mars over here who is exalted in Capricorn. So the energy of Mars is still present. Mars is still in the same room with the sun and with the moon. And so we're seeing that Mars's vibe is in the room. They are feeling that, even if it's not right on top of them. So this is considered co-present, if not conjunct, because it is pretty wide. So what we're seeing here is that Mars is influencing the energy of this, active, exalted, you know, bringing that Mars air to it. And also that the moon is saying, I don't have the energy right now. So I'm saying active recovery. We may feel a little bit restless, but what we want to do is, even if we're doing something, if you're reading a book, if you're, you know, putting together a Lego set, that you're also reminding yourself, this is rest for me. This is my permission to rest, to do something that I want to do, that I choose to do, rather than something that I feel pressured to do. So that way you might be able to get a blend of the rest and recovery with the activity. Now, I'm not going to ignore the fact that Pluto is also here. Fortunately, again, that's a little bit wide, as I would like to see it, for the sun and the moon being conjunct Pluto. It's going to be another 9 days before the sun comes to conjoin Pluto, and they both together on the 20th of January move into Aquarius at the same time. That's going to be something to observe. But at this point, I think it's safe to say that while we have Pluto nearby, I don't think that fracturing energy, that transformative energy, is really poignant or strong. So we can consider this Pluto energy with the new moon perhaps something that allows us to transform through the active rest that we're doing, to regenerate ourselves in a sense. That's a really great word to use for that kind of thing. And if you're a Doctor Who fan, it's even more cool. So I hope you are. Anyway, if not, it's just a TV reference and it still works. So other things that we can look at here is, again, we want to look at the moon and see how she's doing. Somebody that is very close in aspect to the moon is Uranus. Now, Uranus is moving backwards towards 18. The moon is moving forwards towards 21. So they are separating. This trine has already happened probably a couple hours before the moon was officially new, but we're likely still feeling that. So if you are feeling some radical energy going on with this, it's likely a little bit of the Mars influence, but also the fact that we have this trine from Uranus saying, yeah, I can make a change today if I want to. There's something I can do differently. I can change my routine or course correct and, change things the way that I want to change them, or work with a change that comes up for me in my life. This is a trine, so it is easy for it to happen. Often we like to think that it's beneficial. So we're going to hope that any kind of change that you do experience is something for the better. And I truly believe that in almost every circumstance anyway. But if something comes up and you're like, I was trying to rest and now this has disrupted me, ask yourself if this is helping you rest in a new way or in a way that's going to be more constructive for you. Or perhaps you have a chart where this is a time for you to be called into a little bit of action to be able to set yourself up for long-term enduring success, as Capricorn also goes along with. So those are a couple things to think about. We also have, it's not showing up on here, but by sign, Saturn is having this moment where they just had the sextile between Saturn and Mars, and by sign, Saturn is there as well. Saturn is the dispositor or the ruler of Capricorn, so we do like to look at Saturn and see what Saturn's up to. We have this also separating sextile aspect with Jupiter, so you can see how this is going on, and Jupiter and Mars are actually trine each other. They will perfect this trine the next day when Mars catches up to Jupiter, as you can see in the minutes here. So these three are talking to each other. The two malefics and Jupiter are having a conversation, and Saturn is also ruling what is going on with Mars and with the moon. So Saturn has a little bit of sway going on here, and Jupiter, of course, wide again, but also is by whole sign trine that new moon. So there's a lot of this or that push and pull going on with this. So it's going to be up to you to decide what do you feel and what feels like the right choice for you. This is where I would use a technique like muscle testing, where you pinch your fingers together, and when you say yes, it holds. When you say no, it lets go. And you can ask yourself an affirmative statement of, this is in my highest and best interest. If it's a yes, it'll hold. If it's a no, it'll let go. And then you can get some discernment, which is another great Saturn word in things that are going on. So there's your crash course in muscle testing. Other than that, yeah, we're looking at that Mars-Jupiter trine, which is something to really think about as it's going to perfect the next day. So we're feeling it oncoming during this new moon. And the Mars-Jupiter trine is really like Jupiter again saying yes to what Mars and Capricorn is doing in your life. Again, that might be active recovery. That might be pushing through something and actually making something work and building something new and getting it done. There may also be some challenges depending on your relationship with Mars that rise up for you, that will be something that help you sort of change in a slow and steady way that will set you up for strength in the long term. I'm not promising it'll be comfortable, because it is Mars. Mars loves conflict. Mars loves to agitate things, but it is Mars saying it's time for action. So if you choose excitement over anxiety, that can be something that's really helpful. I used to do this on roller coasters. I hated them until one day I decided that if I'm going to scream, I might as well tell myself I'm screaming because I'm excited, because it's a roller coaster and I already know it's safe. So make sure you are safe first. We don't want to be irrational, but that is something that you can use if you find yourself in a moment looking for a tool. So with this, the affirmation that I have come up with for the ideal situation is, I deserve the rest that I desire. And so I really recommend doing something that consciously rebuilds your energy so that you can replenish your energetic well. Again, this is the moon in Capricorn sort of digging a well in order to fill it with something new, like water, or, whatever energy reserves you want to have as your image for that. So do something to consciously rebuild your energy so that you can replenish your well and carry you through the whole year. The next time we're going to see the moon having a major lunation in Capricorn will be 6 months from now, when the new moon will be in Cancer, and therefore the full moon will be in Capricorn. So we're going to see the culmination of what we begin today in 6 months in the summer in the Northern Hemisphere. So give yourself that time. Know that you have plenty of time to work things out. It does not have to be immediately on the day of the new moon. We have cycles, we have time. It is on our side when we think about it in this way. So I hope that you have the ability to rest in the way that you choose to, that you have the way to recover in the way that you choose to, and that if anything does arise for you, that you are able to meet it with confidence, with energy, and with the resolve and determination and, what was the word I just used recently? Discernment in the situation that you need. Have an amazing time with this new moon. And if you want to work with me a little bit more, we do have the Modern School of Ancient Wisdom Patreon, where we talk about this stuff all the time as a group. And I do work with people one-on-one through the Modern School of Ancient Wisdom.com. So thank you guys so much. Enjoy this first new moon of 2024.